Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. This is Kathy, and I am back today creating a card using the Concord 9th Blooms Fill-In stamp set. And when I sat down to play with the stamp set, I kind of had this idea bumping around in my head, so I thought that I would sit down and try it out, and I was pretty excited that it worked out. The first thing I did was I put a piece of scratch paper in my stamp platform just to protect the bottom of it. And then I adhered a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I used temporary adhesive to put that down kind of in the center of the stamp platform. Next, I inked up the stamp with snow cone ink from My Favorite Things, and I stamped it once onto the cardstock. I wasn't going for a perfect impression. I just needed to have an idea of where the fill-in parts would be so that I could cover them up with masks. For the masks, I used the die that coordinates with the stamp set and just cut it out. I didn't have to stamp on it. I just needed to know the shape and where to put them. Once I had them cut out and placed over my stamped panel, I taped down the stencil. I believe this is from Heidi Swap. I've had it for a while. I'll see if I can find it. And I'll link it below along with all of the other items that I used. And then I just took a makeup brush and started stenciling with the same color ink. With the snow cone ink from My Favorite Things, the one thing that I really like about it, it's a very pale blue, but the more layers you add, it can get darker and darker. Once I was done with all of the stenciling, I took that off and removed the masks. Then I put it back into my stamp platform, and I left the stamp in the platform as well as the scratch paper. And I forgot to mention at the beginning that when I put the cardstock in the stamp platform, I did use a pencil just to make little marks on the upper left and the bottom right corner, just so I would know where to put it back into the platform, because I knew it was going to have to go back in there so that I could stamp the big background stamp again. And I did stamp it 2 more times just to make sure that I got a really good impression. And by stamping directly on top of the stripes that I had stenciled, they kept getting darker, but the background got darker, but the stripes still stood out more. Next, it was time to actually fill in the blooms with the stamps, and I started to do it using my stamp platform. And after I had done the leaves and then the little flower buds, I realized that it would probably go a lot faster with just using an acrylic block, so I ended up switching over. I filled in the rest of the flowers just using an acrylic block in the stamps. The one thing that I really do like about this set is that once you figure out where they line up, and they are really easy to line up, you don't have to turn the stamp because they're all in the same direction. I finished filling in the flowers and then the little berries and the flower centers, and then I was pretty much done with my stamping. Next, it was just putting the card together. I did trim that panel down a little bit to roughly 4 by 5 1/4, and adhered that to a piece of pink cardstock, and adhered that to a top folding A2 sized white note card. And I had stamped and embossed the word hello from the stamp set with white embossing powder onto the same bright pink cardstock and trimmed it down. The word friend is a die from Birch Press Designs, and it comes with the word as well as the shadow, and I love how big and bold it is. So I die cut that. I adhered all of that together and just put it right there on front of the card. That finishes up my card for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed, I'd love it if you would. And don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Thanks again. We'll catch you next time.